So good morning everyone. Today is a Tuesday, the 3rd of February. Once again we are gathering here at this time to show our respect to the Buddha and appreciation for his compassion. Well, as usual, we have a gathering here, and we have Nelly and Simone online. And today again, we have a snow, so freezing cold again. So 4 or 5 days of a continual rain has damaged the roof and having a roof leak. And we've been trying to contact roofers, but we haven't received any reply yet. Kevin, you rang yesterday. Any reply from them? No. So no reply yet. And this morning I got a Facebook message from Kimney saying that, are you looking for the roofer? And I was surprised. I never click on the Kimney. Yeah. Kimney Roofings and Exterior. Yes. So
Facebook been spying on it.
Spying on, yeah. So Facebook is reading, and then probably the algorithm just created this message, or maybe they paid, the company paying for the advert. So the Facebook is basically creating this message straight to my inbox. So it's quite a dangerous thing. Maybe we can sue Facebook. I didn't allow you to pass on why. But anyway, so we have a roof leak because of 1 week of a rain. And the rain hasn't stopped yet. So today we have a snow. Interesting this year. Lots of cold and winter, proper winter, which probably 30-40 years ago would have been like this, but has changed. So today also is the day that most venerable Luangpor died in 1959. So how many years now? 59, so 9 years. And then 26,
67.
So 33, so that means 73 years ago.
He was born in 59.
Oh, 83.
10 years older than me.
Huh?
10 years.
10 years than you?
10 years than me.
How old are you now?
56.
56.
So I'll be 66.
66. So 66 years ago, Luangpor Sot died on the 3rd of February. So today is the day he passed away at 3 o'clock in the afternoon due to the high blood pressure. He was one of the very famous meditation masters at that time, and a very influential master. So he was born just outside of the Bangkok in a middle class, collecting rice in his town and bringing it to sell in Bangkok via river on a boat. Those days there were no roads, so always used the boat. And on the way to Bangkok or from Bangkok, there were narrow rivers that they have to pass. And often these narrow rivers, always bandits are there to hijack or kill or take away the goods. And it happened that one day when he was traveling with his crew to the Bangkok to sell the rice, he felt that life is very troublesome and very dangerous. And he had a fear, and he was only 20s at that time. Then he mentally thought to himself that I don't want to die yet. I haven't become a monk yet. If I have a chance to become a monk, I will not give up, but stay as a monk for whole of my life. So he took a vow on that night while he was traveling on a boat. So mentally he ordained that he is going to be a monk because of seeing the danger in human life. And that danger simply occurred because in his life, his siblings died one after another from younger. And that also brought him the danger, so he decided to be a monk. And later he becomes a monk and he spends time studying the practice. And study the scripture in his village, and then later he moved to the temple in Bangkok where the reclining Buddha is, the giant reclining Buddha, where Gavin also visited. And Gavin said, I am no monk to be, why do I have to pay for the entrance? So that reclining Buddha, the big sleeping Buddha. Yeah?
What was the name of that? What?
Wat Po.
What?
Or Wat Pachetawan. So he came to stay there. So back then there wasn't much institutions, so he had to travel in various other temples to study. And then whatever a monk wanted to study, they have to provide their own books and taken to the teachers. He was very diligent and enthusiastic to learn, and in the meantime he was learning meditation from various sources at that time. And he found that the meditation is the key of a Buddhist teachings. So he went on studying the scripture and as well as a meditation and experimenting all different types of a meditation. And later, he studied a particular book called the Visuddhimagga that compiles all the techniques. And during that time, he was still traveling to the different temples for the study. And it happened that because of his dedication and determination to study and practice, people just outside of that giant gate, they sponsored his meal every day, so he didn't have to worry about the lunch and going for Pindapata. And one day, according to the story, suggests that when he went for a Pindapata, he received nothing. On his return, empty bowl. Before he entered the gate, he made a vow that if any chance I became the head monk and able to support, I will feed everybody. And that vow he kept. And during that time when he was going out, and there was one lady who had a shop, food shop, who offered him a lunch every day when he goes out for the study. And later, when he attained this meditation attainment, he wandered around and teaching in different places. He established the education center in his own kuti. And later he went back his hometown, and there he encouraged the monastery to establish the institution to study, and he supported whatever he could at that time. And he was traveling all the time, having any attachment to anywhere. And then he had this belief or attitude that when he is doing things in accordance with the principles that the Buddha laid down, he didn't have any fear. He stood up and always practicing in line with it. So having seen that, the abbot of the Wat Po, then he was the Supreme Patriarch at that time, then appointed him as the abbot of Wat Pak Nam. And he dropped the head monk of the Wat Po, dropped him to Wat Pak Nam on a boat with the support from the religious affair. So the story says that on the boat, the Luangpor was admonished by saying that in order for the sake of harmony and the governance, don't be arrogant. So that was the beginning of his journey to be the real meditation master. After he arrived in this derelict, abandoned Wat Pak Nam temple, he gradually gained the popularity through his own practice and teaching. So first he established the meditation retreats twice a day. And later evenings, he noticed that these boys and girls coming and vandalizing or making a noise and without knowing what they are doing. So then Luangpor encouraged them to study. So later he established the school, And then later he built the first female school, a girls' school. It was free of charge initially, but later when the government took place, so the Luangpor let the government take care of it entirely. And this girls' school was one of the famous schools at that time, still functioning. Meanwhile, in the temple, he established the Buddhist studies. So his practice was very different than any other practices back then. During that time, there was the practice of meditation by reciting the word Buddha, and it was not that famous yet, and it was only exclusively within the forest monks. Since he was able to teach meditation, the Dhammakaya meditation, and was very enthusiastic to share his attainment, he was teaching in various temples, spreading this method, and people were attaining certain levels of the practice. There were many tests on his knowledge, but always he was able to demonstrate far better than anyone else. So Wat Pak Nam became famous. People began to join him again and again, and because of his popularity, one time he was even shot, 2 gun shots. But somehow, because of his energy and strength, he survived. No harm caused him with that 2 bullets. And yet, despite of knowing who did, Luangpor forgiven him. In the meantime, when he became the abbot, since he realized that a lady who was offering him a lunch in Wat Po when he was studying, she was getting old and fragile. So he brought her to the temple and looked after her until her death, repaying what she had given to him. So his life quite remarkable, and he also taught the Dhammakaya meditation in a very different level and different stages, which is very colorful as well as lively, not like a dry, tasteless. Whenever somebody practices it, always feel energized and very colorful and enthusiastic emotions just sprouts. And it has, because of the layers and the layers that you have to pass through, it really gives something, a validity that I have attained or I have managed to pass these stages. So with that, not only that he was able to meditate and teach, but also many other people attain at those levels. There are many stories that he was a clairvoyance, he was a mediator between the spirit world and himself, the human world. Which is the reason why he is well venerated. Further on in Thailand, most of the restaurants keep his picture at front. And the reason simply behind the reason that during that time one of the shopkeeper, restaurant owner was going, his business wasn't getting better, so he went to ask help from Luangpor. And rather than giving anything, Luangpor gave his own picture and told him to contemplate whenever early morning you open the shop. Say Samma Arahang, remember the virtues of the Buddha, and this picture is a reminder for you. And it happened that ever since he had this picture in his shop, customers simply grown, and people surprised how he regained that dying business. After hearing, people began to take his picture and put around in their shops. And that's another reason why nowadays you can see in Bangkok or in Thailand, often his picture is there as a reminder that be kind to yourself and be kind to others. The hospitality is the key, as he instructed this gentleman, that remembering the Buddha and qualities of the Buddha, which is to serve people. And sadly, after few decades of being a famous monk, and even there was an attempt to assassinate him, he passed away on the 3rd of February. Not only in Thailand he was famous at that time, he was famous in the UK too. As a result, the first British to be ordained in Thai Buddhism took place in Wat Pak Nam. A gentleman traveled from London simply to learn this new technique and to become a monk, who was later became a very famous speaker. But somehow, the second time when he visited with his other 3 fellow friends and then ordained them as a student, he lost, or he was confused. I suspect, after I read some of the papers, I suspect that he was in a dilemma due to the fame or the sponsorship he received while he was in Thailand, and the support received from political agendas. So he diverted his attention from the practice. So later he gave up being a monk and came back to stay in London. So Venerable Kapilavatthu, while he was in London, and he again ordained. He ordained, but he couldn't last long, and then he gave up and just to become a normal scholar, teaching in different places. Despite he gave up being a monk, there were a few disciples or students following him wherever he goes, and then providing for his expenses for him to survive. And later on, about 96, when he was 96, he died. In fact, when he was 80s, his sister wanted him to be in America, but he couldn't travel due to his ill health. So he died in London. But the other 3 friends that he took and ordained in Wat Pak Nam, 2 left later due to the political, I believe it was a political conflict, but the one monk stayed for all his life, and he passed away 2000, if I remember correctly, 2006 or 7. He passed away peacefully in Thailand after being a monk for very long time, very, very long time, and a very respectful status. So he translated numbers of Thai books that was published by forest monasteries. So he translated them into English and then distributed among the English speakers. So he was one of the very remarkable Englishmen that stayed as a good practitioner and also preacher until his last breath. His funeral was sponsored by the king, and it was a state funeral, and it was presided by very senior monks of Thailand. So that was his name was Panyawutto. So the one who took him, his name was Kapilavatthu, and the monk who died in Thailand as a monk was Kapilavatthu. So that's why these are the remarkable examples of Luangpor Sot that he contributed towards the spread of his teachings, the Dhammakaya meditation. And one of the remarkable things that when he was begging for food in his early age, and he didn't get, and he returned empty bowl, and he made the vow that when he is in a position to support, he will support everybody. Now, ever since he became the abbot of the Wat Pak Nam temple, he established this giant hall to provide food for the old monks and people living surrounding the temple. And that continued. So he himself did over 40 years before his death. And then after his death, still continue even today. So the temple provides food, breakfast and lunch to all the monks. All the monks, which again about 200 monks. And not only monks, all the people living around. And then whoever visits the temple, they are also welcome to eat there. So that's why he is one of the remarkable a monk, that his body is still there for a veneration. And today, and from Saturday ongoing, there are lots of ceremonies to dedicate merits to him and celebrating his life. When Gavin was there, we forgot to take a picture in front of the coffin. We went to visit a couple of times, but we forgot to take a picture.
Was that upstairs?
Upstairs, the coffin. Yeah. So he passed away 67 years ago, and his body is still there for veneration. Yeah. So today there is no Dhamma, but just the history of or biography of Luangpor Sot, just to remember him and dedicate our merits to him too. And